Let me bring in Foundation for Defense of Democracy's Senior Director, Behnam Ben Taleblu. Behnam, good morning to you. So what are the chances when you and I are back on air on Monday morning, because I imagine we'll be debriefing this next week, that both of these sides have signed a memorandum of understanding, which, by the way, would be a deal to just keep on deal making, right? What are the chances?
Precisely. Great to be with you again, Marky. Listen, I think there's a chance. You could even say a good chance, given the amount of hype the president has created around this. But we've kind of been here before, and if past this prologue, we might even be here again. Because if it is about the MOU, which is basically straight for straight, and there's a semi-official Iranian news agency now alleging that it's a bit more than just straight for straight to whole. It's a whole series of U.S. commitments and potentially less so Iranian commitments. If these 13 or 14 points that this semi-official Iranian news agency is saying is correct, that will be agreed to govern a 60-day process to move from relieving pressure on the Strait of Hormuz oil markets, removing the U.S. blockade, and helping demine that part of that critical international waterway, to be able to get to that larger, bigger issue that has long separated America and Iran, which is the nuclear issue. So I think there's a chance, somewhere between a good and an average chance, given the hype. But again, we've rode this roller coaster on the hype before.
Yeah, and you bring up the nuclear issue, which is obviously the crux of all this. And Joe and I were talking about that off the very top of the show, and just the mixed messaging, too. President Trump says the war is over, but Iran's foreign ministry says not so fast. Just take a listen to this.
We ended the war with Iran today, and they have agreed never to have a nuclear weapon, something that we insisted on.
We have not reached a final conclusion on this matter. This is a very important issue that is being reviewed by the relevant decision-making bodies. In the past few days, they again tried to impose a series of unreasonable demands and requests.
Now, Iran sounds pretty defiant there. And I think the big question a lot of people are asking this morning is, why in the world would they suddenly just hand over their nuclear capabilities and their nuclear ambitions now?
Well, it's a lot of it has to do with narrative. One narrative, the American strength narrative touted by the U.S., is that some of these bombings in the aggregate have worked. The other narrative, which is a bit more of a defeatist or a declinist narrative, is that the Islamic Republic's resistance has worked, and any kind of move from an MOU, which is designed to relieve pressure on the Strait, to some sort of larger agreement about the nuclear issue might have that pathway paved by direct or indirect sanctions relief, potentially even by access to Iranian frozen funds, the currency, the money that they have, formerly frozen oil money in some countries like Qatar, for example, Iraq, for example, other places where they were unable to repatriate energy earnings and energy revenues. So we'll have to wait and see which side budge. But it was a game of chicken before as it comes to this most sensitive issue. And it'll probably even be a game of chicken after an MOU, if an MOU is reached at all this weekend.
Yeah, and say something is inked. Say this MOU, is agreed upon. I mean, Iran has never negotiated in good faith. They don't care about the United States. They don't care about their own people. The only thing, their sole desire is just living to see another day and the regime surviving. How do we trust anything they would ever, sign or agree to moving forward?
Well, in my view, there is really no way to trust. There is verify, based on a variation of that old Ronald Reagan proverb. But you mentioned the word inked here. Even the JCPOA, the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, that big deal that really begot a whole series of political and policy crises here in Washington as it relates to Iran, even that was technically not even signed. So whatever agreement comes our way, if it does come at all, MOU or something even bigger, A, would need to be public, meaning the American public and the American Congress should get a look at that. And B, that thing would probably not even be signed. It's hard to think of a signing ceremony between a major U.S. and Iranian official about this, when even that deal, which was much bigger and broader, was only initialed, and its greatest legal weight came not from the U.S. or Iran, but from the United Nations Security Council.
So what would that look like when Vice President Vance gets to Switzerland this weekend? I mean, if you're not actually signing anything, is he going for a handshake, or what does that agreement look like in that room?
Again, even if we get to that picture, it could be a handshake. It could be a joint press conference. It could be initialing on the back end. It could be signing the front page, more of a performative or symbolic political gesture than a legal gesture.
Well, we'll see what this weekend has in store then. We're all waiting with bated breath here. Behnam Ben Taleblu, thank you for your time and your expertise this morning. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll talk to you next week, I'm sure.